AI.
AI.
AI,
ChatGPT, predictive analytics, or AI.
Data protection or privacy.
GDPR.
The cookie talk.
Third-party cookies.
Third-party cookies.
Third-party cookies.
Customer experience.
Customer satisfaction in web and app journeys.
More personalization and hyper-targeting.
First one, no surprise here, it's AI. Of course, the impact is already there and it will grow. I think we are all on the same side if we say this will become a hot topic. Maybe it is already the hottest topic at the moment and this will stay like this. I think it's interesting because it's already there and it's not only ChatGPT, there are way more things you can do when it comes to AI. And in terms of data, it can be a huge benefit if you use it wisely and correctly. For instance, analyzing huge amounts of data within seconds to identify those patterns or trends I mentioned before, you cannot do this manually. It's absolutely not doable, and AI can help you a lot. We are running tests already with some of our clients, and well, it's still testing, but quite surprising results, to be honest. Yeah. Another one is, for me personally, very important, everything around customer experience. It's a huge topic, wide area, but at the end, that's also what we notice day by day, all the companies are becoming increasingly aware of the importance of having a great customer experience, not only a positive one, it needs to be great or a higher level because customers are expecting a decent experience provided by the brands they are interacting with. And only by using technologies you can really survive in this field. Can be a chatbot, can be virtual assistants, can be data platforms or any other tools. And everything together will help you to not only to identify the right customers, but of course to create this experience they are demanding at some point. And you have to play this customer experience game, otherwise you will not survive on a long-term perspective, probably. Hard words, I know, but I see it every day. So,
firstly, short-form video trends. You only have to open your Instagram app to actually see the platform is trying to push you to upload reels rather than pictures, for instance. Also, the increased revenue and usage on TikTok is a good indicator here as well. Secondly, something a lot of people have been speaking around is that increased focus on first-party data due to those restrictions on third-party. Google is set to deprecate third-party cookies by 2024, which has already had a lot of frequent delays and been pushed out. I'm sure there will be a lot, and there already has been a lot of conversations and discussions on its replacement too.
Let's consider our times like the post-COVID times, right? We faced with the turmoil in the economy, in the household budgets. Most industries aim to give the best value with the best price while doing responsible marketing. That means as marketeers, we have an important agenda of optimization. Growth needs to come from customer satisfaction. How you can measure satisfaction, I guess, with many metrics like conversion rates, customer retention. These are the key metrics that you can convert to the customer satisfaction. So what could be the three things that we need to focus in the upcoming 1 to 2 years? I guess growth metrics in revenue building should be addressed in different industries in the companies. Customer satisfaction in web and app journeys needs to be addressed clearly across the board. And of course, forecasting models. Forecasting marketing models to understand better the optimization opportunities could help many markets, I guess, many industries.
Yeah, I think in general, you see like already, for example, Meta and Google, they are really focused on MMM. So I think people will at some point notice like, okay, maybe like the holistic channel decisions, I cannot really make them without an MMM. So I think people will notice that in the coming period. And that shift will, I think, will go faster than it already is going now. So that's yeah, that's, I think, one thing that we see coming. And then, of course, when you have those kind of techniques, then it also makes sense to shift more to the upper funnel KPIs, as those techniques are more used, more useful to also bring that into the action. So yeah, I see a bright future on the automated MMM side. So that's also why we, of course, heavily focused on that part in the last periods. But yeah, I think that will. I think I already see basically that the shift is already being made, but I think it will go faster in the coming periods.
Yeah, I think brands as well. I think that's even for smaller companies, brands will get more important, or maybe they are not thinking about brand, but steering your mid funnel instead of only looking to the low funnel, to steer your mid funnel very good, to create more value out of media. But also for the big advertisers, driving brand is so important. But in some countries, the TV inventory is really full. So yeah, how are you going to drive your brand when it's getting very hard to invest in TV? What are the other channels? So we see that some clients are very successful on platforms like Facebook and Instagram, and that absolutely work for driving brands as well. But is that the future for building a brand, or are there any new or platforms coming up in the future? I think that's a big topic. And yeah, I think still when you talk about MMM, it gives people a little bit the feeling that they receive a PowerPoint of a lot of numbers, and then they know exactly what happened, like historically. I think the predictive part is way more interesting for advertisers, and that's also the part that's growing. So predictive analytics or AI. We also use nowadays AI for that, to make like all kind of calculations to the future. What is the best way to optimize media across channels for different KPIs? That's absolutely the future. And for us, that's a really big topic where we are working on very hard with a big team as well.
The very popular one right now is with ChatGPT and more auto-generated content, if you will. But I think that trend is going to go up. I think if someone's not using those types of tools to at least give themselves a starting point or improve what they're thinking right now, they're missing out, and they're going to be less competitive. So the more auto-generated content, the inputs are definitely going to rise. And I think because of the automation on that side, we also need to be automating the actual tracking of how these campaigns are doing. Hey, what's a ChatGPT assisted campaign where it's all of their content? How's that doing versus what a normal content writer is actually doing, right? The normal content writer might be 10 times more effective, and we have absolutely no idea. So we need to get these things, you know, it's wonderful to have the automated inputs, but in the future, if we don't understand if they're working or if they're not working, that's going to be a huge problem. So I think people are they're going to realize that they need to, you know, hey, maybe things aren't so perfect when I automate all of my content creation. Maybe, you know, we do need a really personalized approach to doing this and kind of creating more of those raw relationships with clients. And that kind of goes into the second thing that I'm kind of predicting here. So the good old fashioned organic marketing is something that, you know, a lot of brands haven't fully dove into. Or the main point here is that if you were able to be, you know, the encyclopedia of your industry, where someone goes and they're learning about your industry, so they're already interested and they're looking for some definition or a technique, and it just the definition, and there might be a video on your website that's allowing that person to learn even more. And then, you know, maybe there's a link to another video, and then second step, and you're educating them about all of these things and how to do this with your tools. I think that is entirely overlooked right now. So I definitely think organic marketing is something that's going to be much more popular in the future, just because it's also so cost effective. There's so many executives out there that have such incredible opinions, and in actually just regular users, in people who are building the products, in really so many elements of each organization where they're not utilizing everyone to the top tier of their ability. But I think, you know, maybe if the market gets squeezed a little bit more, they're going to start saying, hey, your job description just expanded to making a video once a week on the best way to use our product.
I think as we're, you know, talking a lot about marketing data, I think that we'll likely see more personalization and hyper targeting. So, you know, more data available for marketing teams, giving them more chance to personalize the messaging and more chance to have targeted campaigns with that more personalized messaging. But then I think hand in hand with more personalization and more hyper targeting available, we'll probably see even more of a focus on the privacy data side of things as well. Obviously, we've got GDPR over here in Europe, but it'd be interesting to see how that starts to, you know, things start to get a bit stricter in outside of Europe as well. I also think, you know, AI, machine learning, like, you know, everyone in the content world seems to be talking about ChatGPT at the moment an awful lot. But I think in the different ways that AI can help, when looking at analysing data for your marketing efforts, I definitely think that we'll see AI playing more of a role in identifying and analysing data and helping to spot patterns in the data that we have in our marketing data, and then, you know, asking AI to assist with the analysis and spotting patterns, and therefore helping to make some, you know, predictions on the future based on what we see has been happening. So I think they're like big things as well. And something that interests me is one other thing would be around conversational marketing and also voice search, because, you know, more and more homes these days have got smart speakers, in fact, like many smart speakers, and, you know, voice search and voice assistants and things like that are becoming, you know, like just mainstream part of everyday life for a lot of households and people and families, etc. So I'd just be interested more from a like intrigue perspective, really, to see how the, you know, how people can optimize content, how businesses can optimize their content for voice search, and how they can develop that conversational marketing strategy that takes voice search in. But then if you're going to take advantage of those channels and optimize it, the ways to then obviously measure it back as well and see how that is all working. So absolutely not something that I have the expertise in, like optimizing the voice search content, but I'm definitely keen to see how that plays in this year, and probably looping back to the AI comments as well that I made in terms of how people incorporate AI into all of that.
Well, I think we should see more of a pointed. You'll see brands that have picked a platform because they know it works best for them, and they'll stay there. You won't see them across all 4 or 5 platforms that you might necessarily use. I mean, there might be some retargeting going on, of course, but with the deprecation of the third-party cookie, you know, on the horizon, people are going to need to invest their money more carefully and almost pick best-in-class solutions. And so, for me, I think brands who invest their money back into the quality of the product and the content that they trust is going to be something that thrives in this sort of next 12 to 18 months. Going to that specialized channel and platform is the way to thrive in this market, rather than sticking to the status quo and spreading the budget too thinly across every channel, so as not to miss anything. That sort of approach is not really going to yield, firstly, results nor learnings, because the sample size has become really, really small, and it, you know, it acts as a detriment to the advertiser. But if we think about the brands approaching and agencies approaching things with a best-in-class mindset, that you'll see, for example, brand X picking Instagram as their place of choice, or Facebook as their place of choice, and doubling down on that in terms of the platforms that work best for them. That, I think, is going to be a real pattern that we see across the next 12 to 18 months for sure.
A big one, cookieless tracking. So again, we've been aware of third-party cookies being deprecated. We've been aware of the cookie apocalypse for a considerable number of years now, but simply put, because of the fact that Google, with its Chrome browser, so the Chrome browser has by far the highest share in the browser market, and because of the fact that it's had to it's decided not to deprecate the third-party cookies yet, because they're trying to come up with a way in which they can create, I guess, an environmental ecosystem where they can track users without the use of it. So because they keep delaying that deprecation process, a lot of companies have been dragging their heels when it comes to understanding and utilizing all the different cookieless tracking technology that's available to them, which is a shame. You have, companies need to leverage, the first-party data more, the zero-party data, which I'm going to go into, but things like cohort analysis, having a better understanding of all the different, how the different walled gardens work as well, and so on and so forth. So there are so many different solutions for marketers to target users that doesn't require third-party cookies, but they've not been investing enough time to research and see what works for them. But I feel as if now, in the next 18 months, people will open their eyes to that and start making the relevant investment and time and gathering knowledge into these different technologies. And to kind of segue into, I guess, my last concept as well, so zero-party data. So zero-party data as well, think of it as a subset of first-party data. This is it's qualitative data that your users, as an advertiser, your users are voluntarily given to you, and that data has a lot more detail into who they are as people. So you can learn a lot more about their sentiments, their behaviors, their attitudes towards your advertising, towards your products and services, and so on and so forth. So the data is a lot more richer in comparison to the other different types of data, where it's more kind of looking at different increments of metrics. Here you get you get information about how your consumers actually feel. So marketers need to make more use of that. They need to be collecting that data, because they will be able to use that to build a richer consumer profiles, and get a more detailed understanding of the customer journey in the sense of all the different interactions that customer has with your business.
Yeah, I mean, the word of the year last year, was it permacrisis? I mean, that is how it feels. There's constantly something going on. We're constantly switching, but actually I think that means everyone's got to be more nimble and got to be more agile. There's always something happening. Making sure that you're prepared is really important. I mean, there's things like AI. ChatGPT obviously is a massive topic of conversation, and I think everyone's trying to figure out how is that going to work. We talk a lot about data and automation versus the human input. Human curation of insights is massively important. You always need that layer. So that's a big topic at the minute. In terms of metrics, I think a piece I was reading recently talked about minimalism in metrics. So kind of going against where we've been is we've got all these metrics. There's so many things we can measure. This is great. Finally, PR has data. But actually, it goes back to, well, what's most helpful? So there is a talk around kind of minimalism in metrics, choosing what's most effective, what's going to resonate the most, but also being prepared to review that. Things change. We know they change. So you have to evolve as well. You can't just say, right, that's what we're doing, done. I'm not going to look at it for 3 more years. You might have to change it every quarter. It changes that much, and your business priorities change. So again, you need to make sure it comes back to objectives. Is your objective moved on? Did you complete your objective? Have you got a new objective? How do you measure that? It might not be in the same way. So it's just constantly that kind of test and learn, evaluate. That's really, really important. And that goes across everything, not just PR and metrics, but business as well.
There is a Gartner study which say roughly 60% of all CMO will cut their departments by half by this year, because they failed their promises to improve on all the data. And I think beside the cookie talk, beside the what's coming with the economy and so on, I think to be against these headwinds, they are focusing, or we are as an industry here focusing. I think we need to focus on our baseline, let's say it this way, which is when it comes to data, sorting your data, analyzing and linking it together, and then visualize it, because this is the fundamental part of working with data. And I think that's the main topic for this year, maybe also next year, to get to your campaigns and have improve them in terms of what's coming back in terms of ROI.